Welcome everyone to the Alchematics Lunch and Learn session, where today we're going to be talking about customer success is company success. If you've attended previous sessions, you'll know that we keep these introductions relatively brief. These sessions are primarily designed to act as vehicles for the sharing of ideas and concepts developed within the Alchematics network. As usual, I'm joined by my good friend and managing director of Alchematics, Richard Ritchie. Over to you, Rich.
Morning, Gareth. Morning, everyone. Look, I think it's look, customer success for me is a super interesting topic, and I think look, it goes without saying during the pandemic periods, everyone has become familiar with it, as if they weren't already, terms like digital transformation, cyber resilience. Many companies fast tracking the adoption of such models, right? Now, whilst these initiatives are primarily focused on staying in business and securing the new environment, they're inherently inward-facing strategies. I.e., they typically answer questions like, how do we remain relevant, or how do we remain in business, or even how can we keep ourselves secure in the evolving business environment? Now, from conversations we've had within the broader Alchematics network, it's become evident that it's the companies that have switched their focus, or for many actually maintain their focus outwards. These are the ones that have been able to not just survive, but thrive during this period. And what I'm really talking about here is the ones that keep their customer base or clientele at the forefront of every decision they've made. These companies, in our opinion, are certainly the ones that truly embrace the concept of customer success, which is, of course, what we'll be discussing in more detail today.
Absolutely. So, I mean, as a starting point, then Richard, how would you define customer success? What is it?
Yeah, well, perfect starting point, actually. Look, in a nutshell, Gareth, customer success is a business methodology of ensuring customers achieve their desired outcomes whilst using your product or service. At its core, it's ultimately relationship-focused client management that aligns client and vendor goals for mutually beneficial outcomes. Effective customer success strategy, if you like, typically results in decreased churn and increased upsell opportunities, which are both highly desirable, right? Especially when you're managing a SaaS organization, for example. We have a pretty large client base that you work so hard to gather over probably quite a few years. But if you think back now to the last 18 months, let's forget about new client acquisition for a moment. But if you could potentially half your churn rate, or have halved your churn rate, let's say, if you've lost clients, i.e. the rate at which you've lost clients in the last year, that could mean the difference between staying in business or not, keeping an office open or not, or having to let people go or not. Of course, we're not talking about a switch you can simply flick overnight with a strategy change, because for many, it'll be a completely new concept that requires careful execution.
So, I mean, over the course of the last 6 months, Richard, we've seen an increase in the kind of availability of customer success roles. But what if the company aren't in a position to hire more people? How do they then go about protecting that existing client base?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. If your SME employs a customer support team, I'd wholeheartedly recommend switching to a customer success model. Now, for the SME business, a customer success team is an alternative, if you like, to customer support team, the more traditional customer support team, let's say. Larger companies, of course, often employ customer success teams as well as customer support teams to deal with enterprise level customers. But, this just isn't possible for smaller businesses with smaller budgets. So a compromise has to be made there.
I mean, this is something that I always think, Richard, and maybe you can correct me, but aren't they the same anyway? I mean, isn't this a case of kind of old wine in new bottles? It's, they're all interchangeable.
No, I like the old wine in new bottles analogy. Look, in a nutshell, Gareth, customer success, it's about a business being proactive, right? While customer service or customer support is more about being reactive, right? We're all familiar with this. Customer support. Customers rather, they have problems, they submit tickets, they send emails, they make phone calls. Hopefully, the service or support team resolves those problems and customers continue on their merry way, right? That's typically customer service. It's focused on a case by case, here and now. As for account management, as we kind of progress through this. Account management, that's arguably a dated concept from the agency era. Agency or other account managers typically woo dissatisfied customers and handle problems again as they arise. Like customer service, very focused on case-by-case interactions. And it's still very much the account management mindset. It's the mindset, if you like, that's different from customer success management. Ultimately, look, it's all in the name. Account managers manage accounts, i.e. the money coming in, not the success of the customer who has the account. Customer success, as you kind of evolve here from account management, customer success means building real customer-centric, and that's the key phrase here for me, customer-centric relationships through proper communication, being the voice of your customers, and better educating both your customers and your team. It's worth noting, however, that if you do decide to transition your customer service team to customer success, you should be also mindful of the fact that these two functions will have a very different skill set. The decision, therefore, needs to be tempered with practicality.
I mean, talking of those different skill sets, I mean, being proactive in servicing the customer, that's the job of the account manager, not customer support or service, right?
True. Look, the reality is customer success is more akin to account management, 100%. In many ways, you could say that customer success or customer success management, if you like, is ultimately what the account manager role has or is evolving into, okay? But if you're a small organization, like I said, with only sales or business development and customer support, then it would make sense for your customer service division to evolve to support customers in a way that they're now demanding.
Okay, just to clarify a point there, are you saying that a customer success manager is kind of a sales role?
No, another good question.
Okay.
Look, let me put it this way. Look, for sales professionals, their top priority is closing the deal by helping the customer identify the best solution for their needs, right? Mm-hmm. They work to bring in new customers, demonstrate the features and benefits of the company's product or service. They're typically quota driven. For customer success representatives, I'd argue that it's more a post-sales success. That would be their main focus. Their goal is actually to continue to nurture the customer relationship in order to ensure they successfully adopt the product or service, are satisfied with their purchase, and ideally become lifelong customers. In difficult times like, such as during the COVID-19 pandemic, a customer success team is also vital for the proactively managing or maintaining key relationships, and ensuring customers feel supported. They're not just left alone. And I think this has been the case in a lot of companies, or certainly for a lot of individuals that haven't received that kind of high touch service. They felt isolated. A lot of SMB customers have felt isolated and exposed during this period. But if you take a step back a second, Gareth, and think about the key job functions, okay? So your sales team most likely spends, the majority of the day on a few important tasks. So these can include lead nurturing, closing new contracts, and in some organizations, even prospecting leads, right? Basically, everything that comes before contract is signed. A customer success team, on the other hand, these guys are typically responsible for everything that comes after the contract is finalized. So I wrote down a few things here just to make sure my memory is correct, because there's quite a few things. So if you think about it, so customer onboarding, which includes educating customers about your product and how you should be incorporated into the operations. It includes providing technical and product support. It includes experience management. It includes using a CRM system to gather and track key data on new and existing customers. It includes gathering and analyzing customer feedback. It includes revitalization and renewal of existing customers, but also identifying, and this is a key one actually, identifying opportunities for revenue expansion through upselling and cross-selling.
Okay, so I mean, that all makes sense, but I think another point of clarification is maybe looking at how customer success differs from account management.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, okay, let's do this. So let me compare them in different sections, so you may be able to get a bit, better picture of the differences. Okay, so first difference, I'd say the number one goal different, the same goal, different purpose. Right. So the main purpose of an account manager is to be there when a customer needs them to get renewals, upsells, cross sells. Okay. Customer success manager's purpose is to focus on the customer's goals and to make sure your product helps the customer achieve those goals. So it's very much outward focused rather than inward focused, as I mentioned earlier.
But I mean, in some companies, you could argue that should be the account manager's job, right?
Yeah, look, exactly. That's why I said I believe the customer success manager could represent the evolution of the account manager's role.
Okay, sorry, shouldn't have interrupted. There were other differences that you were mentioning.
Yeah, sure. So look, the second difference is that regarding perspectives. Okay. Now, from an account manager's perspective, the renewal is the crucial part of the deal, right? It's crucial in SaaS and from the customer success management perspective. Recourse should be dedicated to giving as much value as possible and making a customer satisfied with the service and everything, because if he is successful and satisfied, the renewal will come naturally, right? Also, since the customer success managers are involved throughout multiple phases of the customer's lifecycle, they have a unique view of the problems and potential problems. So it's not just what they're facing today, but also what they anticipate as being problems as your client grows, let's say. So this is, this unique variable enables the customer success manager to see problems that may arise and turn them into saved dollars for the customer and your company as it happens.
Okay. I know I'm laboring the point a little bit, but I mean, if the account renews naturally because of that customer success manager's involvement, you could argue that they've done the account manager's job, right?
Yeah. Look, what did I say about the evolution of the role, right?
Okay.
So look, number three, the third difference, if you like, is involvement. Okay, so the customer success manager is there since the beginning of the customer lifecycle, making sure customers learn how to use the product to get the most out of it, and also helping them with the onboarding and implementation. They also help them with training because they're involved in all of these things. They have a smaller group of customers to manage, okay, whereas the account manager will have a much larger group. So since the renewals, upsells, cross-sells don't usually happen at the beginning of the customer's life cycle, most of the time account manager will spend with the customer is likely near the end of the life cycle when the contract's up for renewal, for example. The fourth thing I would say is skills, right? And again, this is a pretty important one. So account managers have, and again, look, I've been an account manager a long time ago, but account managers typically have an in-depth knowledge about your product and your company. They know less about specific customers, usually because these customers are handed to them, right? So keep in mind, this doesn't mean they're less valuable. This just means that they just have just different roles to play. So for example, if a customer has, let's say, some technical issues, account managers are typically the ones to take care of them. Customer success, customer success managers also have in-depth knowledge about your product, but they also have a deeper knowledge and understanding about the customer themselves and their goals. So they can anticipate, and this is the key thing, right? They anticipate customers' needs and give them advice that will help them succeed and achieve their goals. Empathy, I would say, and this relates back to one of the sessions we did a few months ago when we were talking about specific skill sets within customer success teams. Empathy, I'd say, is also something that a customer success manager needs to have to develop long-term bonds with your customers.
Okay, so I mean, kind of circling back with this difference in skill sets, are you saying that companies should have both account managers and customer success managers?
Sure. In large SaaS organizations, yes, typically that is the case. A customer success division will exist. In small organizations, however, or ones that are sensitive to cost as they grow, adopting a customer success strategy or mindset simply means just understanding what the customer success truly means. And secondly, just assigning those responsibilities to people most suited to the skills required. It may actually mean, for example, as a young organization, rather than having, for example, hunters and farmers, let's say, you have a more hybrid model whereby the person responsible for the sale is then responsible for managing the account as well, because they've spent time to develop that relationship and they'll continue that relationship forward until your organization grows to a point whereby that hybrid sales and account manager is overwhelmed and they need to start passing those off. When your business gets to that stage, that's typically where customer success can take the form of a designated individual or growing division.
Okay, that makes sense. What other areas of comparison are there?
So the fifth we'll consider as we compare the account manager to the customer success manager. So this part is proactive versus reactive. So customer success managers work hard to proactively anticipate customers' needs and be there when the customer needs them. The account manager, on the other hand, is often fairly reactive and only provides support when the customer asks for it. Quite often this is because of the sheer volume of accounts they're responsible for. As I mentioned before, the customer success guys, by virtue of the knowledge they need to obtain on each particular client, they will manage a lot less accounts than an account manager.
So if you're switching to a customer success strategy without hiring kind of a dedicated customer success manager or team, it sounds as though that's going to require kind of a rebalancing of the accounts under the management of each of those individuals. Is that correct?
Quite possibly, yeah. So it may mean rather than hiring a customer success manager, you may have to hire another account manager, for example, and assign different responsibilities. So that ultimately what you're looking to do here is increase the level of service and support every client and the management receives.
Okay.
So you could do that. So you could do that to build out your sales org, or you could, like I said, simply switch your customer success team around. But again, you need to enhance their skills to give them more insight into actually how to manage the accounts as well.
Okay, so I mean, with that in mind, is there some sort of golden ratio? I mean, you know, Harvard Business Review, they talked about a 1:8 with regards to managers to employees at one point. Is there this kind of golden ratio with regards to account managers or customer success managers to customers?
No, not really. Look, it really depends on what what product or service your company is offering. Look, I've worked in organizations whereby for a key account manager, for example, they were managing up to 35. That was their threshold. Everything else would be kind of handed over, and they'd be handed over based on the way that we segmented the market. Whereas account managers that dealt with different types of accounts within a different segment, they would manage up to 200. And that was just a reflection of how those accounts were segmented, or how the company segmented those accounts and defined, and that segmentation defined ultimately how those accounts would get treated. It's not to say that one client was any better than another per se. It's just their segmentation exercise based on things like company size, level of professionalism, spend, headcount, put them in a different category, and they, from a service level, they expected different things, so they were managed differently.
So it's really unique to the organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a question whenever we're consulting for companies, we often get asked, what is the golden ratio, as you put it. But yeah, that can't be answered until we've actually done a deep dive on the organizational structure, the accounts and the management, and yeah, how they need to be segmented. But the answer is always there, because the other thing I guess you need to consider is not just the accounts, is also the capacity of the account manager and what their capabilities are as well. So there's a few things that feed into that figure that you're looking for. But if someone needs it, you can definitely work it out.
Okay, that makes sense. So I mean, you were talking us through some of these areas in comparison, Richard. So are there any others?
Yeah, sure. The last one for me really is metrics. So metrics that are applied to customer success managers are often very different than those applied to an account manager. So an account manager, for example, has sales quota and has to get as many upsells and renewals as possible. Customer success manager metrics, on the other hand, they're usually tied to those of their customer. So they might be measured by return on investment that the customers achieve using their company service or product.
Okay, so does that imply that account managers earn commission while customer success managers don't?
Yeah, look, it's a good question again. Look, although it differs according to industry, location, company, account managers often earn more than customer success managers simply because it's a sales role and there are incentives for being successful.
Okay, I'm mindful of the time, Richard. So I mean, just to wrap up, what would you say if you were asked to kind of bullet point the benefits of adopting a customer success approach in comparison to account management? What would they be?
Yeah, sure. So there's a bunch. First of all, improve brand perception. By working closely with customers to ensure successful onboarding, which is key, that often gets missed out, and product adoption. Again, as this has been hammered over the last 12 months, as many companies adopt this more of a, let's say, a consumption mindset rather than just acquisition. Customer success reps help customers have the best experience possible, which maximizes brand perception. So this will improve your odds that customers will become brand advocates. And ultimately, what we're talking about when we say brand advocates, we're talking about customers that not just want to stay with you, but they will promote you and help you win more business. Okay. Secondly, I would say churn reduction. Happier, better adapted customers are less likely to leave your company for another vendor, which significantly reduces costs.
I mean, you're talking about costs. I remember you and I were talking about that McKinsey study with regards to the vendors with the top quartile revenues attributed their success to the implementation of customer success teams to reduce that churn. I think the figure they quoted in there was it typically costs 5 times more to attract new customers than it does to retain existing customers.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm sure it differs from organization to organization, but the reality is it's a key takeaway, right? If you spent so much time winning a customer and investment as well, then you need to do everything you can to protect that revenue stream. Ultimately, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm mindful of the fact I jumped in there. Sorry, you were taking us through your final closing points.
That's okay. So there's just 2 more. So number 3, I'd say new opportunities for growth. So by gaining intimate customer knowledge and insights, customer success teams can help identify new opportunities to provide helpful solutions and expand the value of their reach, the customer's reach. It's a strategy that has proved to work well. Research indicates that the probability of closing a sale with an existing customer is 60 to 70%, as opposed to 5 to 20% for a completely cold prospect. So, you know, the numbers are there. And then finally, improved customer insights. Working closely with customers over time gives customer success reps a unique opportunity to intimately understand their business challenges and opportunities. By tracking these and other key insights, your customer success team can help the company improve its product and service offerings, you know, prepare for shifting customer demands and adjust a marketing approach and more. Ultimately, like I said, just make it, it's a very, look at it this way, you could even view customer success as a very, it's a defensive strategy to some extent, right? It's defending what you've worked so hard to acquire. You have to do everything in your power to keep it, and it's more than just making phone calls every month, right? Hopefully that all makes sense.
I absolutely, and I think it's been really insightful, Rich. One question before we wrap up, which is quite interesting given the recruitment piece from Shabna. Shabna's asked if there's a lot of customer success managers roles in the region at the moment.
Yeah, Yeah, there are. Well, I couldn't give you a number, but yeah, 100%. I mean, we're seeing certainly over the last, I'd say 6 to 12 months, we've seen an increase in the number of customer success manager or customer success executive roles. But as I believe, as I said, this is, in my opinion, this is the evolution of the account manager role. For larger organizations, yes, you will have customer success teams as well, but ultimately, think of it as a redefining of an account manager. If you've got an account manager that looks after less accounts, but they're more intimately involved with these accounts, almost more akin to a key account manager, let's say. A key account manager will have less accounts to manage because they're required to spend more time with them. If you think about it from that perspective, the amount of time spent on site or the amount of time spent gathering data to help support that organization's success, that is a fair reflection of that. So yes, there are definitely more roles available for this. Okay.
Well, look, Richard, I think that that brings us to the end of the session today. So thank you for your time and the insights today. Obviously, as we talk about in every one of these lunch and learn sessions, if people would like to engage within the Alchematics network, they need only to go to the website and they can join in from there. I think that today's session really has demonstrated that customer success is company success. Thanks, Richard.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Gareth. Thanks for everyone for your participation. And we'll see you again in a month or two for a brand new topic. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.